welcome to this pool game between China and Switzerland in the men's division under 24 World Ultimate Championships. This is the first pull of the game. China pulling to Switzerland, right to left. I'm Joy Lee. I'm joined by Max Stenstrom here in the commentary. Welcome to the match.
Thanks, Joy. We have one hell of a match before us today between two nations that we haven't had a chance to see a lot of yet on the stream, and we're not going to mess around, straight into it with a lovely shot down the line from Switzerland, not messing around at all, finding Menzinger in the end zone in plenty of space.
Looking very smooth there, the Swiss offense. This is a tantalizing matchup, and viewers would not really have the chance very often to see a Chinese team in action. Although Ultimate is growing at a rapid pace in China, this is the first outing for a Chinese team at any World Championships event. The men's team here are joined by their mixed squad. This men's team have only had a few days together as a whole group, and that's a challenge that's added to the difficulty and the experience of this tournament. But they're looking well organised. They had a great warm-up. Let's see how they go against these Swiss men.
Yeah, the Swiss, obviously a team that's been around the ultimate scene for a little while, pretty well established. Their club scene very well established on the European tournament circuit. A lot of their teams you may have heard of before, of course, Free Speed and Flying Angels, very well-known teams with great ultimate pedigree. I was chatting to their coach earlier, and this is a true national Swiss team. Players drawn from all over the country. That obviously with Switzerland, that brings unique language and communication challenges, as some of them are French speakers, some of them speak German. And they've got a couple of players that their preferred language is in English. So
Zhao with throwing to the other handler down the sideline. Back to Zhao. Oh, just couldn't hang on to that one. Switzerland putting on a zone straight away. Like every day of this tournament, the wind is here. So the wind is blowing from right to left to your screen. Swiss men capitalizing on that. The eighth defender there, and they're looking to work it in. Oh!
And they do a great job just passing it across the front of the end zone, managing to find their player, diving to his right. And he does a great job to hold on, does Leonard Vieck.
Game advisor there in yellow. You saw that figure signalling goal after it was confirmed by the players. Game advisor's doing a wonderful job here in Perth. Very dedicated and always, of course, just reflecting the views and decisions made by the players themselves on field.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously a little bit different from the observer role that we see in the States and in the USAU scene. Game advisors able to provide clarification on the technicalities of the rules. They also are able to provide their perspectives on situations, but most importantly, they guide the decision-making process and help the players on the field come to their own decisions, express their views, and hopefully come out with the right outcome.
Exactly right there, Max. And here we see Switzerland coming out on D again. It's 2-0 at the moment, Switzerland to China, with this men's match pulling into the wind now. And a great pull it is too, almost making the front of the end zone. China coming out in a split stack format. Again, the Swiss with their zone. Looking quite confident here, the Chinese handlers. Content at the moment to move that disc around, waiting for the holes to open up. Nice curving pass there to Jack Ma. Clement Yip, surveying the field. Swiss look to have transitioned to man here. It was pretty smoothly done. Oh, just a slightly wayward pass, and the quick transition.
Plucked off by Willie, one of the American imports to this Swiss team. He has played for Boston in the US and brings that experience and that skill and that knowledge of high-level ultimate to the field right now. And you see there a heads-up play by him, reading the play, getting in between the intended receiver and the thrower, plucking it out of the air and then flipping it for the goal.
Speaking earlier to the Chinese team, about half of these players live or study abroad, so not in China. They may have become aware of ultimate in different countries or perhaps in China, but now they don't have that advantage of training together on a regular basis. Although it does, of course, expose players to skills and knowledge in other regions. China, of course, enormous country, geographically and in population. Ultimate, they're concentrated in the major cities, but awareness and activity in the sport is growing throughout the region.
Yeah, we often talk about one of the reasons that the US is so traditionally dominant being the size of their player base. And in that regard, I think China is very much a sleeping giant with the population that we all know that they have, well over 1 billion people. It's a terrifying thought for the rest of the Ultimate playing nations out there. If China got fully behind Ultimate as a sport, I'm sure they would enjoy some incredible success, as we've seen other nations in the region do, such as Japan.
Again, this zone, and this is going to be that smothering, vice-like zone that I think Switzerland are going to employ for much of this match. It's worked early in the game, so, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And China here, although they're working the disc quite well, close disc there, but still in the hands of the Chinese players. Oh, and he stuck it. He's lost patience, and oh, just shy there of the player. Quite deep there, hucking up wind.
Yeah, that wind forcing that disc to turn over, blade into the ground, and Switzerland will get an opportunity from about their brick mark, with Willi bringing it in. Immediately getting it back. Expect to see a lot of him piloting this offense. And he's moving it to the near sideline now. Amici back to Willi. Gets the swing out.
China with match D at the moment, closely marking their players.
The Swiss very happy to work hard, work with their legs and get the unders. As their coach said, the focus for this game for them is just to run. They know that China's got a relatively short roster with only 14 players. The Swiss have 20, and they feel like they can take advantage of it, as they did there, finding Nelson Amici in the far side of the end zone.
There's the goal, Max, and let's go down to Steph on the sideline with some information for us. What do you got, Steph?
Hi, I'm Steph Maher. I'm on the sideline commentating today, and I just wanted to mention that Switzerland are really, really hungry for the win today. They were up over Great Britain men's yesterday, having a really, really tough game, and Great Britain actually ended up taking that game. So the Swiss men are really, really hungry for the win. They're going to be working really hard, and they're excited to show what they can do on the world stage.
Thanks, Steph. You're absolutely right. The Swiss going up 12-10 in that game against GB before the British boys rattled off 5 in a row to take the game 15-12. So they've shown they can mix it with the traditional powerhouses of the sport. And for them, it's about stringing together a full 100 minutes of quality ultimate. And if they do that, I'm sure we'll see success from them.
Sustaining that attention and focus for the entirety of a game, not to mention the entirety of a tournament, is definitely key to success here. And this, so far, the score being 4 Switzerland to 0 China. China will be coming out on offense here for a number of points in a row. Will they adjust their tactics? Will Switzerland stick with their zone? We've got a zone defense again from Switzerland, marking an area rather than a particular person. Jiang Wang with the disc, looking to the sideline. Guo. And back to Wang. China working well, moving well, running hard. Oh, tricky disc there, popping up into the air quickly. Reeled in by Zhao. Ma on the sideline. These Chinese players not getting much separation from the defenders right now, but some quick movement from the handlers there. And a long shot to the, and Chinese player looks open, but a few Swiss players are cleaned up well there by the tall Swiss timbers.
Yeah, Gregory Stoller doing a great job getting underneath, using his height to his advantage. And the Swiss will waste no time in sending it long. It floats, it hangs.
Oh, fantastic D there. It looked open, but that disc hung in the air. Chinese defender Lu getting underneath that disc. Or perhaps it was Wang there with the D. Yip here, disc on the sideline. Oh,
Sebastian Glor reads it like a book, streaming through, snags that one out of the air. Expect to see a lot of him this game. He's a key part of their offensive handler system as the Swiss move it nicely near side to far side and find their man Monaco in the end zone. He gets his revenge after being skied earlier in the point.
Clinical offense there, Max. And Switzerland, it is also, of course, hard to sustain your focus and intensity against a team who you've got a few points against. There's a bit of a buff. It's 5 Switzerland, 0 to China. But as mentioned before, Switzerland hungry for this win. And I think they'll be aiming for a comprehensive victory here, a confidence booster, and just to keep their campaign on track.
That's right. We've seen the risks of taking your foot off the gas. We've seen what can happen. All of us were watching that opening match on day 1 of this tournament when Australia against India went up 7-1, only to have that lead gobbled up by the Indians, who wouldn't say die. So I'm sure the Swiss have taken lessons from that and taken lessons from their lead against the GB earlier in the tournament, and they'll be well aware of keeping the foot on the gas the entire way through this match and continuing the success that they've had in this first few points.
Yeah. Major event sponsor here for the World Under-24 Ultimate Championships, Tourism WA. Wonderful place, WA. So much to see. Enormous region, largest state in Australia. And if you fancy a little jaunt, we recommend STA Travel.
Indeed, they are our preferred travel partner. So if you're planning anything during or after the tournament, head down to them. I'm sure they'll be able to hook you up with a great deal. They're able to sort out all your travel needs, your flights, your accommodation, any tours, anything like that. They've got it all sorted out. Do give them a visit. The Swiss now on defense, looking to extend their 5-0 lead. I know that they've adjusted a few of their lines after their games against GB and Ireland. They've tweaked a few things, and so far it looks like it's working well.
A high looping pull there, always tricky to read. Chinese player catches it confidently, always a good practice. Again, the zone look. Huahan Zhao there with the disc, gets it again. Looking to penetrate that zone defense, looking through the middle.
Interestingly here from the Swiss, it appears they're running 2 different zones. One when the Chinese are heading upwind and one when the Chinese are heading downwind. This one being the more aggressive of the 2.
Active again.
And the Swiss, led by Raymond Klaus, will pick up the disc. About 10 meters out on the far sideline. Immediately looks up line for the dump. Slips through the fingers of Imesi. And the Swiss will reset their zone. See if they can trap these Chinese players on the sideline.
As all the players are in that area, the zone is reset fairly quickly. You saw that, no Chinese players free. Oh, high leaping pass, just in the hands of Zhao again. Xu now. I don't see many holes through this zone structure at the moment. China having to go over the top and around at the moment rather than through. Playing zone offense here in Ultimate presents unique challenges, of course, as there's just a brief stoppage. You have to find a way to penetrate that zone structure. And at the moment, with their height, their reach, the Swiss men making that extremely difficult.
That's right. And for those of you who are listening and are relatively new to Ultimate, what playing a zone means is that the defenders won't choose an individual player to match up on and stick to. Instead, they'll have a space that they'll be relied upon to prevent the disc getting into. So in that case, it was quite an aggressive zone with a lot of players around where the disc was, putting a lot of pressure on the thrower. And you can see that it's forced an errant throw, and Switzerland now moving the disc quickly over the intended receiver possibly, but the scraps are cleaned up well by Fion Ageta. Safe hands in the back of the end zone. And the Swiss extend their lead to 6. And for another view on that, we'll head down to the sideline with Steph Mayer.
That catch was absolutely incredible. These guys are working really, really hard trying to get an early win over the Chinese team. The winds have really picked up a little bit. Since the start of the game, we've got about 20 to 30 kilometre per hour winds. It's southwest to westerly sort of movement across the field, and the weather's picked up quite a bit as well. It's 32 degrees at the moment. It's pretty warm down here, but these guys are keeping cool, keeping the hats on, grabbing some shade when they can going off the field, and drinking plenty of water. That's a big tip. Got to remember to drink plenty of water while you're here in Perth. It's a hot day.
Absolutely right, Steph. Absolutely right.
Thanks very much there, Steph. The score's now 6 Switzerland and to China 0. They're yet to open their account. They've had a few chances on offense. Switzerland so far have clamped down with his zone defense. So 6 to Switzerland, to 0 to China for the moment. Now Switzerland are mixing it up. They've gone to match D, where each player, each defender is marking an individual. And oh, there's a spare one though. That player was standing all in space. Jack Ma, still with the disc, no mark on him yet. Lang Hao Zhao, surveying all the players in front of him, so no dump or lateral player set up as a safety. Shang Wei Lu, good confidence here from the Chinese throwers, attacking the space. Perhaps they look more comfortable. Yu Tang here, or Tong, my apologies. They look more comfortable against this match defense. Shang Wei Lu, again. There's not too much movement ahead of that disc, and Swiss players have forced that error. Disc goes down.
Yeah, the good work rate from the Swiss in that match defense, reaping rewards as they get the turnover that they were looking for, the errant pass. And now they'll have an opportunity to move the disc downfield.
China, match D again.
Euler to Neuenschwander. Neuenschwander, inside forehand, very nicely done, opening up the break side of the field. To Stewart, the other American on this team.
Switzerland moving the disc with ease from across from this sideline to the other and back again. That kind of lateral movement of the disc really opens up the offensive options for your team. That time though, disc didn't quite find its target in the end zone. Number 9, Hao Su with the disc here.
We see an interesting contrast in offensive structures here. The Chinese opting for a horizontal stack. Their cutters downfield spread horizontally across the field. Whereas we saw earlier the Swiss playing a vertical stack.
China getting some good ground. Hammer throw overhead, and oh, just couldn't hang on to it. Couldn't hang on to it on that occasion, but I like that quick movement from China. They're able to find a few holes, a few players free, getting some space downfield. So tricky to operate and hang on to those overhead throws, in that case a hammer. You also heard Max talking about an inside throw before from the Swiss. Of course, with the disc as your sporting object rather than a ball, you've got a lot of versatility. You can make the disc curve in different ways, as well as just opting for a flat, direct throw. All these options allowing you, if you've got the skill, to get around your opponents, find a way to pass it one to the other, and hopefully to get a goal.
That's right. As Willie Stewart makes that initial pass. He, very experienced player, played under 23s in 2015 in London for the Swiss. So this isn't the first time he's pulled on the national jersey. And he's showing his cool, calm veteran status as he guides this offensive unit down the field. Again, a beautiful example of the inside forehand from the Swiss. A lot of these European players from the cooler climes are used to playing a lot of indoor. And with indoor ultimate comes a lot of tricky throws and technical throwing skills that some other nations don't develop quite as well. So you'll see that from this Swiss team, those inside forehands and perhaps some high releases and blades as well.
Down the line there, Zhao with the disc still. Nice aggressive move, taking the space upfield. Lu, couldn't hang on to that.
And Stewart immediately picks up, reaching for his player, Mercy, in the end zone. The disc floats in the wind, but Mercy makes sure of it. Going up nice and strong. Tearing that one down out of the sky. Mercy is well known on his team for being the best looking man to play Ultimate in Switzerland. That's his claim to fame. I'm not sure if you agree at home. Let us know on the live stream. Please send in your comments. We'll do our best to get to them if we get a moment.
Certainly a lot of fit and athletic individuals out here in the men's division, but also the mixed and the women's here at the World Under-24 Ultimate Championships. Teams have been preparing for this and training for so long, trying to form those connections between players and also between teams from a country. First outing for Chinese teams, I believe. I've yet to have that confirmed, but I think China here, men's team and a mixed team. So Switzerland here, 7 to China 0. Real challenge, a bit of an uphill battle here for China. When they come out on offense and then lose possession of the disc, their defense at the moment struggling a little bit to get a handle on those fast-moving Swiss players.
Yeah, we haven't really seen the Chinese able to gain a lot of traction on defense yet. I'm not sure if it's a question of tactics. It just feels like this Swiss unit incredibly well drilled and have clearly been working hard in what has been a long season for them. I was speaking to their coach earlier and he said one of the challenges coming in preparation-wise for these players was continuing to work hard after the regular season back home had finished. Obviously in Northern Hemisphere, having to play into the winter and finding training partners difficult. So a lot of solo work by these players, but they're reaping the physical rewards now.
Oh!
As they make an athletic play to toe that one in. That's well done by Stoller.
Nicely done there. Towing the line. In the game of Ultimate, if you have contact with that line, that sideline, that's out of bounds. The line is considered out. So Stoller there did well to keep within bounds. Just seeing a replay here of his footwork. Well within bounds, actually.
Yeah, it does a nice job of that. Does a very nice job of that, the Swiss. So that's the Swiss team taking half, 8-0. It's a clean sweep so far. They'll be very happy with that. The Chinese, obviously, plenty of work to do. Maybe a case of them switching their focus on what they want to get out of that in the second half, where it becomes a case of let's focus on our own game, gain something from it.
Sure. We've got a treat for you at halftime, viewers. Steph?
After we've had some replays, we'll have a treat from you with Steph having a chat to the coach of the Swiss team. But we'll come back to that in a minute. For now, sit tight, and we'll be back with you soon.
Hi, welcome to the halftime stoppage. We're going to have 7 minutes of stoppage because the first team has reached 8 points. That is Switzerland is in the lead. And I'm here joined by the head coach, Aaron, who's very kindly agreed to have a little chat about how the game's going. So what do you make of the first half of the game, Aaron?
We took our legs and we're a little bit more than them. We used that. And we took the zone. That worked well for us. And keep the pressure up. Yeah, that's all about it, I guess.
Great. Has that zone been something the Swiss team has been working on for quite a while?
No, there wasn't wind at the tournament. We practiced it, so it was different here than it was there. And we changed a little bit and get used to the wind. It's a little bit different. And now we're set it up quite good, I guess. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I think you. It seems like the Swiss team has a comfortable lead going into the second half, coming from 8-0. How do you think you will? What have you instructed the players, and how are you going to keep that lead to potentially win the game?
So we were up at the TB game yesterday in the halftime, and we lost that one. Yeah. So that's still in their minds. So we have to force them hard and keep on going the whole game. So it should be a 0 in the end for us, for them. I mean, yeah.
Sounds like you guys have a big plan to keep a pedal on the metal and just keep pushing for the rest of the game. Great. So, and before we send you off, I would love to ask you about how you have been preparing for this tournament with the players over the last few months.
So we had 2 practice sessions in Bologna. David and Mori organized a tournament just for the national teams in Europe. Austria was there, TB was there, Germany was there, Italy was there, and we used that very well to practice with the team. And we had like 4 practice in Switzerland just with us, worked on plays, worked on zone and everything. And there was a lot of work for the guys at home because it was off season when we get here, so we had AOCF and the guys had to push through the winter to January, and they worked well. I like that. You're here. Yeah, we're looking good.
Great. Thank you so much, Aaron, for having a chat to us. Best of luck for the rest of the game. Thank you.
Thanks, Steph. Thanks, Aaron. It's great to hear some of the insights from the coaching staff and from behind the scenes to know what's going on. As we suspected, the Swiss not taking their foot off the gas yet, pushing all the way through to the end of this game. They've made that mistake before, and it's not the kind of mistake that you make twice.
Spot on, Max. Yeah, and hearing about some of those preparations that the Swiss team were having. Such great experiences for those players. Even, of course, all that training, all the practice matches against other teams, that builds your skill, builds the group of people that you know through Ultimate. Ultimate being such an international sport. Such a great experience.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And something that's contributing to the wonderful experience here this week is the wonderful support of Emma and Tom's. They're our food and beverage supporter. They've been keeping the huge army of volunteers at this tournament hydrated and fueled up with their delicious, minimally processed, 100% natural, no added sugar snacks. I myself have been digging into the kale and spinach nuts. Would highly recommend them to anybody. Do get around them. They're absolutely delicious and great for you as well. Both teams now looking like they're almost ready to kick off this second half. Switzerland, obviously, all the momentum in their court, and they'll be looking to take advantage of that and continue that for the rest of this game.
Nicely put there, Max. And just some snippets of info about Ultimate in China, growing, of course. Lots of Asian tournaments now for players, not just based in Asia, but to come and visit. In China, there are some big tournaments, major tournaments in Nanjing and Fuzhou. There's a Hong Kong Pan-Asia Championships. Chinese Nationals, major event now. Recent development of men's and women's teams, as well as mixed clubs. All part of the development of the sport.
Yeah, it's great to see the spread of Ultimate. Obviously, we're passionate about the sport here in the commentary booth, and I'm sure you are as well if you're watching this stream. Do spread the word. I think not only is it an incredibly athletic and fun sport to play, but as we've seen this whole week so far, in the spirit of the game, it encourages a reasonable some maturity among athletes that I think is really commendable. All week long we've seen some great examples of spirit and self-officiation of the rules, teams trusting each other and trusting the rest of their teammates to do what's fair and what's right and not what's easy, which is often the decision to be made.
Spot on there, Max. It is an under-24s tournament, but like you, I've been very impressed by the maturity shown by these young players. And some, of course, really experienced despite their youth. Some of these players have been competing for 10 years or more in their own countries, but also internationally.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Especially in Europe, they have a really developed representative age group scene with both an under-17 and an under-19 European championships held regularly. And through that program, a lot of these players gained exposure to not only just ultimate, but to really high-quality coaching and development opportunities. As you see, the Swiss punch one in to Jan Gardamian in the back of the end zone, him showing off his pace, showing off his wheels to get open.
Switzerland slotting another one in. China will be looking to get on the board in this game. It's always super important not only to aim for certain standards of play as an individual and as your team, but to build on previous performances and get on the board as many points as you can. And to my mind, Chinese need to perhaps look to take a few more risks. What they're doing at the moment.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, Joy. They have been playing what you might consider the safer, more mature strategy, in that they've been trying to chip it around, find the holes as they've come. I'd like to see them play a little bit more high risk, high reward, as you say. Take a few more deep shots. They won't all work, but if they don't work, at least the other team will have to work the disc up the full length of the field if they want to get a goal in return.
Spot on. So, like all sports, no risk, no reward.
As the huge pool comes up, and it'll sit in the wind as the Swiss defenders stream down the field.
Central stack here. Zhao with the disc. We've seen him with the disc in his hands quite often here. Throw to Clement Yip just wide. Clement Yip wide open there. The central stack opened a lot of space. Switzerland, their match D for a bit of a change, but got the turnover anyway.
Yeah, it was a nice looking pool play out of the Chinese, and it almost, I feel, could have lended itself quite well to that higher risk strategy that we were talking about, setting up a nice deep shot. The Swiss now working it up the line with Stewart, who'll
big send.
Launch an outside-in forehand onto the chest of Immersi, who's been nigh unguardable in the back of that end zone throughout this game. He's obviously one of those players who's had national experience before, playing at the World Ultimate Championships of Beach Ultimate in Royan. He's put on the white, red and black of the Swiss national colours before, and he's showing his veteran status. As we have another look at it there. The Chinese not able to find an answer for the athleticism of the Swiss, as combined with their precise throwing. A nice little up the line flip into the nice outside in feathery forehand for the goal.
Putting on a clinic at the moment, the Swiss. 11 Switzerland to China 0. Still, the Chinese look like they're having a good time out there. Spirit's still high. You don't see any heads dropping yet or shoulder sagging. Day 3 of the tournament. It's when the legs start to feel a little bit heavy sometimes, but they're obviously in great condition, still running things out well.
Yeah, still plenty of ultimate to be played by all teams. And I know they would have been aware of the tough conditions coming in, the heat of Perth, much talked about coming into this tournament. Many people a little bit concerned about having to play a 5-6 day tournament in a Perth summer.
Zhao. Luau with the disc. And Switzerland have gone to their zone again, pushing those Chinese players across. Oh, nice pick up there. Disc was behind him, but stuck at the hand. That was Zhao with the disc, swinging it across. Another hammer over the top. Found a way through there. That was a nice move. Luo to Yu. Xu. Oh, and this is going to be Chinese first goal. So close. And yes, China on the board. You can see how much that made to it. Hao Xu there with the goal. Oh, my apologies. Shi, number 19, the youngest player on this Chinese team. And look at that. They are celebrating. China on the board, and that was really well done. They found a way there through the Swiss zone. I think one of the handlers stuck out his hand and saved that possession, and then they managed to repay him in spades. China hanging on to that goal.
Yeah, absolutely brilliantly done by them. Ignoring our advice from the commentary box. They're not going to listen to us. They're not going to jack it long. Sticking to their guns and being rewarded for it. Being patient and incisive with their cutting and their throwing. Willing to throw plenty of short 5, 6, 7 metre passes as they work it up the field. Finding small spaces into safe hands and just tearing a hole in that German defence. Ends up being a regulation pass for a regulation catch. And the Chinese open their account.
And they find themselves in the position of coming out on defense here, a bit of a change-up. China pulling right to left to Switzerland.
And we'll see the Swiss line, the Swiss offense line for the first time this game. A nice backhand pull. Land just a couple of metres outside the end zone.
China come out with a zone of their own straight away.
Now with Husler. Back to the other handler, Heitonen. We've got a bit of a discussion. An injury call by the Chinese. He'll be replaced. Perhaps an ankle or a foot problem.
Zhao there coming off. Hope he's all right. He's a key handler there for China.
We saw it again. It just looks like he may have accidentally been stood on by the big Eric Heitonen. He's a big boy. Can't blame him for taking a break after that one. And Husler will bring it back in. He's been a key part of this offense for the Swiss yesterday. Haven't seen a lot of him yet this game. Perhaps using this opportunity to rest his legs.
China employing 3 defensive players around the disc. Quite close together. You can see Switzerland here just easily working it through and around.
And then the forehand being picked up by the wind over the intended target. Swiss not able to connect.
Oh, China will be breathing a sigh of relief there, to be honest. They were through there. Clement Yip walking to the disc. In the end zone in general play, if the disc turns over in that area, the offensive player gets to walk it up to the front line, and that's exactly what's happening now. So Yip looking to bring it in. Switzerland match defense for the time being. Wang. Oh, nicely done there. Yip, again, safe hands. Just a bit of a drop there.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate mistake from the Chinese. The Swiss looked a little bit scrambled on defense there. They had a couple of players double marking some Chinese players, leaving others totally open.
Low attempt to the catch there. Perhaps should have gone down with the body as well as the hands to try and secure that, but gives China an opportunity. Liu. Nice, confident body positioning. In cut from Zhao. Oh, down the line, but not sure who that was to. Perhaps it was a bit of a miscue or miscommunication. China not going with the zone again. Match defense here. Zones defenses, of course, harder to set up on the fly. Requires quite a bit of communication. Every player needing to know exactly what their job is here.
And the Swiss employing the horizontal stack, looking to open up the deep space early. Instead of having to go underneath, find Husler, who finds Bartmettler. Ends up reaching up the line for Heitonen, but he puts it a little bit too far out in front, and it pushed down by the wind, out of bounds.
Seeing a couple of errors here creep into the Swiss game. It's entirely natural, of course. Of course, teams would like to have a perfect sheet at the end of a game, but it's such a long time to be concentrating 100 minutes. With attentive defense and some of this wind, some errors will creep in, which is about trying to refocus. But China here, and, quite a busy offense there, but couldn't connect with Zhao in the end.
This will be the Swiss's third opportunity at this point, I think, this time from only about 10 metres outside the end zone. They'll immediately look to the break side with that inside forehand that has served them so well this game. But Jakob Ebinger cannot hold on despite his big frame.
China again. Are they going to employ the same tactic? No, he's gone long.
They go long immediately.
New tactic. Oh, and it's pushed wide so that the running player, Yu Tong, could not quite chase that one down. He did look open, though.
Yeah, he generated plenty of separation on Husler. Husler in seasons gone past has felt that his fitness has let him down and his athletic conditioning has let him down, and he's worked really hard in this season and this campaign to prepare for exactly that. But we see perhaps the Chinese speed still elusive. And now, Schwarz. Monaco, 6 meters out. Stewart hits his man, streaming into the front corner. Reto Barmettler does a good job of that. Looked pretty from up here, and we'll find out how it looks from down on the sideline with our sideline reporter, Steph Mayer.
Hi, yeah, I think that point had a lot of turnovers in it, right? I think that China really made the adjustments after that halftime break. I think I could hear the coach, letting them know where to tighten up, where to play, where to put the strong offense players, and I think it really worked. There was a lot of turnovers, so they were almost up there. China had a few looks at it and didn't quite get there in the end, but I think they're on the way to getting a few more points on the board. It'll be really exciting to see how the second half of this game continues on and see where they can go. Only up from here, I think.
Thanks for that, Steph.
And thank you to Steph, and also thank you to the Spudshed Fresh Food Market. A big shout out to the Galati brothers for their donation of fruit that have been keeping us all nice and healthy, helping us get our 2 serves of fruit and veg every day this week. All of the volunteers benefiting from that. I'm sure I would encourage you all to head to one of their many stores in WA.
China, familiar situation here. Upwind offense, rolled towards the back of the end zone, but now the Chinese player having the opportunity to walk it up to the front. Zone defense here from Switzerland. Quite short shorts there from Al Go.
Yeah, showing off plenty of skin. Enjoying this Perth sunshine.
They've found a way through this for now, so Al Go having a bit of an impact.
Oh, and that one's bobbled.
Through at least 2 or 3 pairs of Chinese hands, they couldn't quite hang on to it.
And the Swiss at midfield will have an opportunity. Goes to Klaus. Klaus breaking the mark nicely with the around backhand, but a little bit too far out in front of the bidding Swiss player, Neuenschwander. Though there will be some discussion. It appears maybe a pick in the stack, judging by the discussion. The 2 players will shake hands, resolve it amicably.
Doesn't affect the outcome, so Switzerland have said that the play can continue. China's just calling a timeout.
Great, so Chinese timeout here. And 2 game advisors on field. 2 advising, not making decisions for players, but advising of the correct process to take if players are uncertain. A Chinese player said to me before the game, they've got a number of quite inexperienced players on the team. While they're delighted to be here, a bit of extra assistance around rules knowledge is always appreciated.
Yeah, that's right. And especially in games such as these, not only is it a question of communicating your perspective, and that brings its challenges with it all of the time, but in games like this, we have the unique challenge of a cultural and a language difference between the teams. Obviously, Chinese and Swiss, not known to speak the same language. Even for many of the Swiss players having to speak their second or third tongue among their team, as they use English most of the time, despite being from regions of the country that speak German or French, the game advisors can play a crucial role in those situations to help mediate those discussions, resolve any conflicts that may arise, and act as an intermediary between the parties. We'll get another word from down on the field with our sideline commentator, Steph Mayer.
Hi there. Well, I just wanted to mention that we've got our game advisors for today. We've got Matsutoshi Moriyama on the far sideline over here, and then on the sideline closest to the camera here, we've got Steve Baker. He's a Perth local. He's been playing for many years. So we are really appreciative to all of the game advisors that have come and spent their time here. I think there's about 11 game advisors. And yeah, we just wanted to say thank you for all their hard work and helping out with the games.
Great, absolutely, Steph. And critical part of helping this event run really as smoothly as it can. As we see the short shorts of Algul working through this Swiss zone. Disc moving through Huang and Chen. Ah, big hook to the end zone. Is this going to pay for the Chinese? Two Chinese players there. Oh, and what a dramatic finish there. Two Chinese offensive players, one Swiss defender. The Swiss defender did manage to get a tip on it, but straight into the hands of the waiting Chinese offensive player there. Second goal on the board for China. They're happy with that.
Yeah, Raymond Klaus doing everything that he possibly could to get the D on that one. He was outnumbered, he was surrounded, and he did a great job regardless. As we see it again, Chinese shoot long. It's a 2-on-1 situation. Klaus goes up early and gets a fingertip on it. You can't ask for more than that.
Number 0 there with the score, Yu. He looks happy with that.
It's a nice backhand in this wind. Does fall a little bit short as the wind turns the disc over, but it's not a bad effort.
Chinese pull. Using that wind, lofting the disc up quite in an angled fashion.
And it's fielded by Schwarz.
Oh.
Moving to Husler. Husler looking for his options, faking with the left and with the right. Glor with the cheeky little hammer over the top.
Extremely tight zone set up here from the Chinese players. Perhaps a little too tight, but Switzerland don't have a problem moving through and around.
Yeah, classic commentator's curse. As soon as we say they're doing a good job, the Swiss find a way through. Glor anchoring this offense, providing the outlet when they need it. Back to Husler.
Oh, slicing through for the goal there, Switzerland.
Lasers a forehand onto his player's chest, making it look easy.
That makes it 12 Switzerland to 2 of China. And Steph before mentioned the game advisors, one of whom is Steve Baker. Steve, veteran of Ultimate and other disc activities here in Australia, has mentored and influenced a number of generations of Frisbee players and still involved here in a really positive capacity as a game advisor on this match.
Yeah, perhaps we can cross down to him for a bit of a perspective on how the spirit and calls have gone so far this game.
Spirit's been very good, actually. There have been so few calls, and those few that have happened resolved very, very quickly. We haven't really had to get involved at all. The only calling I've done is to help relay their calls. It's been great. This is what we really want as a game advisors. We don't actually want to have to get involved.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Steve. So, yeah, in fact, game advisors would have a perfect game in an ironic kind of way if they were not involved at all. Still an important role for now. Offering that advice, reflecting calls, and being really dedicated in that role.
Yeah, I know as a commentator it's incredibly helpful. Often players, their first priority isn't to do the hand signal, so it's lovely to have the game advisors communicate for the commentary box at least what's going on and what calls are being made on the field.
No one there initially to pick up the pull from Switzerland to China, but oh, that player, Guo is going to have to scramble back to get it and put himself into a very tricky position. Chinese offense right in their end zone to Guo now. Over the top. Nicely picked up. And a big huck faked there from Ma, but holstered for now. 88 Wang. Oh, just a tricky little drop there.
The Chinese are definitely looking more confident, playing with a little more swagger. And to my mind and to my eyes, they're benefiting from it, as they're starting to look a little more dangerous when they've got the disc. Switzerland now. Schwarz with the swing. Stauffer on the near sideline, but unfortunately turns it over. Chinese working hard through this Swiss zone. They've been struggling with this all game long. Occasionally they'll find one or two passes through, but then it'll re-clamp down, reapply the pressure. The Chinese back in the tricky spot of one man with the disc surrounded by four others in white shirts.
Backfield from China here, not moving too much, waiting for an opportunity rather than generating the space themselves. But the handlers here, as Switzerland does move to match defense, they were active enough to penetrate that defense. And wow, that's paid off! Chinese handlers working hard and finding the player in the end zone for goal number 3. That was well done from the handlers. And China leaping into the air with delight. Chen, the scorer there, with China's 3rd goal. Fantastic work.
China doing much better in this second half. Able to get a couple of points on the board. The Swiss, however, not done yet, not dropping the intensity. They're going to work hard to finish this game out, close it out, get out of the sun and get some rest and some shade and some food and some hydration as they start to prepare for their next match. I believe this will be their last pool game, and this result will almost certainly affect what happens next for them.
Two games a day for most teams here at the World Under-24 Ultimate Championships. There's the game itself of 100 minutes, but of course there includes warm-up activities, the cool-down, and often a number of team meetings as well. So all in all, almost a full-time occupation for the 6 or 7 days of the tournament. Zone defense here from China. Oh, a low one picked up by Swiss handler.
It looks like there's going to be a bit of a discussion.
Game advisor moving in, but the Chinese and Swiss players here content to chat it over. Of course, game advisors may also, if they have those skills, assist with some language issues. English is the official language of WUFDF events, but of course it's not the first language of so many players of this sport.
As the Swiss moving it quickly, not letting the Chinese defense have time to set. They're on the doorstep now. That's an easy pass from Yannick Monaco to Eric Heitinen.
Slotted in nicely there from Switzerland.
That's right, and that puts the Swiss team on the doorstep. This is a game to 15. There's not much left to be done now for them. Of course, time cap is at 100 minutes, though it doesn't look like we'll be reaching that. This will be a nice short one for the Swiss. Chinese as well will have plenty of time after this game to regroup and recap and recover.
Nice work there from Switzerland. It's game point here. China with their 3 points.
And the Swiss on defense. It looks like Klaus will be pulling. Chinese looking to get another one on the board. They're not done yet. They're not finished.
Apologies, the score is 13-3, so it's not quite game point yet. China here looking to add to their tally. 3 points they've scored have been very confidently done. A stroke of luck in there as well, of course. Wang with a disc. Oh, no, my apologies. Zhao there, and now Yip. Zhao going down the line. Oh, diving block there from Swiss defender. Well done. Zhao was leading his player down the line. Aggressive handler move, but Switzerland put it on the line.
Yeah, that was a great bid by Raymond Klaus. He did a great job to go fully horizontal, get his fingertips involved, and push that disc to the ground. And now it looks like he'll be involved going the other way. Inside flick, lasers one to his man. And he'll get it back. He's going to get every second pass now. He's fired up. Damian back to Klaus with a little backhand flip. They're on the edge now, just a couple meters away. And maybe they push that pass as the backhand to Fion Ageta, a little bit behind him.
Excellent hustle there from Yu. He's darted in front of his player, stuck out of hand. That's all that's needed sometimes. Zhao with a disc, central position, but quite far back in his own territory. Guo sliding down, making sure of that catch. Not much movement, but Zhao did enough this time to get that disc down the lane. Diving attempt there from Swiss player, but Zhao hung on to this. Ah, there's a bit of a stoppage. I think maybe a pit call with the bicep double gun indication. A pick is kind of like a screen or a shepherd in other sports. It's not allowed in Ultimate to use, intentionally or otherwise, the body of another person to lose your defender. It just allows offense to have its own particular nature and to keep the spacing. So
as a big hammer goes up and there's a bit of a pack grab and plenty of contact. Looks like there's a Chinese player down on the ground. Unclear whether it's a foul call or whether he's just gone down injured. Klaus was involved from the Swiss team. He's been involved all over the park at this point. As the game advisor will get involved to help clarify any rule situations. But it doesn't seem like there will be any foul calls. Instead, Swiss take the opportunity to make a substitution as well. When an injury is called on a substitution taken by one team, the other team also has the opportunity to bring on some fresh legs. The main emphasis and main goal of most of the rules in Ultimate is to ensure that one team isn't advantaged or disadvantaged unfairly. And that's why both teams get the opportunity to sub.
Easy underpass there, Switzerland. Match D again from China. Switzerland here dumping and swinging, moving the disc with ease.
Damian fakes the backhand. Instead, dump and swing back in the center of the field. Damian outside forehand over the head of his intended receiver. Who can't regather. Ageta not able to haul that one in after it bobbled up over him in the wind.
Chinese player looked like he was going to intercept that one before the Swiss player got his hands to it. In the end, missed time, but the disc went too far anyway. Now China have the opportunity. Long shot immediately. Oh, that one's going to hang in the air. Yeah, Switzerland, well read. Come down with it.
Yeah, Sebastian Glor showing his class, getting involved. Pinching it out of the air and then immediately looking to run and gun. I'll not give the Chinese time to recover. Neuenschwander. To Willi. Back to Glor. Moving it quickly now, and they find their player open in the end zone. Fiona Goethe and the Swiss legs with too much juice, too much fuel in the tank for the Chinese to keep up with that point. And we'll head down to Steph Mauer on the sideline for another perspective.
That last play was absolutely incredible. Swiss is just really tightening up there, just moving it through whatever China's got to put up against them. They're just working really hard and they're continuing to keep the pedal on the metal for the rest of the game. We're only 1 point away from potentially Swiss winning the game. But I'd just like to make a mention of the Chinese team has really been working hard to improve their spirit. I was just talking to Anthony, his surname escaped, Anthony Hao Shi, and he said that they seemed to get a really low spirit score at a recent tournament at WU24UC, and they've been really trying to improve that, really trying to work on that. So that's been a personal team goal for the tournament, and yeah, so we'll have to just see if that plays off, see if they can get a little bit higher in the spirit. It's a very important part of the game. It's to the spirit scores and to play respectfully in a safe way. Yeah, so we'll have to see if China continues to do that.
Thanks, Steph, and absolutely commendable aim there from China. I'm just going to, as these two teams are doing their timeout, there are of course many games going on here at the World Under-24 Championships.
And we'll take this opportunity to look at a clip that we've managed to capture from one of the neighbouring fields in the Colombia-Singapore men's match. It's a cheeky backhand up the line for the goal. I'm not quite sure what the score is over there, and we'll do our best to find out. But it is a nice high-release backhand, which is not easy in these tricky, windy conditions. Being able to put it on a platter for his defender in a space, for his offensive player in a space very difficult to get involved in as a defender. So that's a nice display of throwing skill and throwing technique from that team on our neighbouring field. We are down at the UWA Sports Park in beautiful Perth. We're very lucky to have access to these beautiful facilities. As we see here, what could well be the final point of this game.
What have China got here? They're still looking quite relaxed. Handlers looking quite confident. They're moving from their vertical stack, clearing a bit of space. Unfortunately, the handler fell over at the critical point, but Jack Ma still got his hands on the disc there. They're about halfway now, bit to move. Oh, very close to the end zone now. Can they remain calm? Jack Ma again with the disc. Oh, and great option there. China, number 4. Great goal. Fantastic work there. I really was impressed with how that Chinese offense managed to clear so much space early on in that point. It paid dividends for them with that isolated cutter coming out, a couple of quick passes, secure catches, and as you can see there, Jack Ma throwing the goal. Number 6, Yu Tong, bringing home the bacon.
Yeah, that's a lovely display of offense from the Chinese. Just really clinical, getting the little things right. As you said, making space for your teammates. So often there's a temptation to feel like you're only being effective on the field if you're catching the disc or throwing the disc. Whereas in reality, the good majority of your work out there needs to be setting up your teammates, providing space and opportunities for them to get the disc. And you saw the Chinese do that there beautifully. It's now game point for the Swiss, indicated by the game advisors with a nice dab. The dab technique displayed beautifully there. I know that Rubenberg spends a lot of time drilling the dab into his game advising crew, and he's very particular on the form of it. And now Husler will pick up the disc.
14-4 here, Switzerland to China.
Glor, Schwarz and Husler, the handler trio on this point. We've seen them work together before against this Chinese zone, and they've been effective. Tall Jakob Erbinger gets involved as the Chinese revert into a more classical match setup. Husler
lays out on the mark, but unfortunately opens up that IO channel maybe that thrower got a little bit excited. He saw the diving mark of the Chinese defender, bought the fake and opened up the IO channel, but luckily for the China, pushed a little wide and a little far.
Yeah, Huesler's lasered one of them earlier this game for a completion, but unfortunately this time not able to hit his player on the chest. A little too far, a little too wide.
Right in the corner here, China. Zhao with the disc. Oh no, and Switzerland finish off the game with a Callahan goal.
My lord, that's Mark Schwartz reading the play well, using his quickness and athleticism to get there, stick out his hand, reel in the disc, and finish on a high note. It's not often you see a Callahan in Ultimate, and it's even less often that you see it to finish a game, as the Swiss, in their final moments, really show the story of what this game has been, and that has been utter dominance.
Bit of a highlight there to finish off this match. Callahan goal. If the defense catches the disc in your attacking end zone, even while on defense, that counts as a goal. So there you see it.
Credit has to be given to the other Swiss players for taking away the rest of the options for the Chinese. But of course, Schwartz does the hard work, reads it beautifully, as the Chinese player ended up having to make a tricky throw in this wind, and securing the Callahan, securing the goal and securing the wind for this Swiss team as they chalk up their first win for the tournament. They'll be happy with that. The Chinese also have things that they can take from that game. They had moments of nice play, moments of nice movement, but of course, not the result that they would have liked. 15-4 to Switzerland over China in this men's match.
Absolutely. I think, Max, China will be pretty happy with that. Like they hadn't scored for quite some time in the first half. It was looking like it was going to be very difficult to get even one goal on the board. And particularly in that second half, added a few points. Quite a few positives for them to take out of this match against a pretty strong Swiss contingent.
Yeah, absolutely right. Now, obviously, that was a short game, but we will have a look at some of the key moments in that game as we really relive the highlights from this Switzerland-Chinese matchup. Early on, it was all Switzerland. Chinese showing their skills throughout the game, but it was really the Swiss athleticism, speed and skill proved too much.
Nice layout block there.
Yeah, Stewart and others showing their athleticism and leading by example. Klaus as well, doing a great job.
As these highlights are playing for you folks, we've got the Japanese women's team warming up behind us. Next on your live streaming schedule, of course, is Japan versus Canada in the women's division. Two super strong teams in that women's division. So this has been a short game, but don't go anywhere. Look up the exact link for that next stream. That's going to be a cracker of a game.
Yeah, it'll be a matchup of two heavyweights in the women's division. The Canadians and the Japanese will both be looking for a win here. It'll be crucial for determining their seeding heading out of this big extended pool play that the women's division has. The structure of the women's draw is that they play a full round robin, playing every other team, and then straight into semis. As we see their unique warm-up, the Japanese played Australia yesterday and lost in an exceptionally tight game on Universe. And they'll be up next against Canada on the showcase field. And we'll wrap it up there. I've been Max Stenstrom.
And I'm Joy Lee. Thanks so much for joining us.